Hello everyone, and welcome to my video series about Duelyst, produced in partnership with Counterplay Games. Today we're going to be playing another new deck that was made possible by the Denizens of Shim'zar expansion. It's one of my old favorites that got some new tools, so let's take a look. So this is my latest incarnation of a Xeron Lyonar healing deck. There's a lot of options available for this deck, and I'm exploring quite a few of them right now. The sort of big additions to this deck from the recent set include Lucent Beam, which is a decent removal spell, not really an amazing one in a lot of spots, but having the ability to also finish your opponent off in the late game can be very, very powerful. A addition from previous versions includes Blistering Scorn. This is a card that currently is replacing Tempest in my deck. It doesn't quite have the same impact in every situation, but the fact that it also is a minion that's able to trigger your own healing effects and allow you to enable some of your healing triggers is also quite powerful. And then sort of the late game win conditions of the deck are totally from the new set. There's not only the Sunforged Lancer, probably the most important card in Denizens of Shim'zar for the Lyonar healing deck, because it can power up your general very early in the game and give you the ability to do a lot of damage in combat, but also the Solarius and Skyphalanx. These aren't necessarily healing related cards, but Solarius in particular gives you the ability to play a lot of cards that are otherwise individually weak that enable your other healing cards like Sundrop Elixir, while Skyphalanx is just a powerful win condition that can actually defend you against a lot of decks, unlike cards like Pandora that I've previously played in this slot. So this is very much still an experimental build of the deck, and I'm trying to figure out what the right combination of all these cards is. So here is a look at what we're going to be playing once again, and now let's go ahead and jump right in. Alright, here we are against a Vetruvian deck. This is an okay hand. The Light Chaser is not one of the early minions that I prefer to play, especially when I'm going second, simply because it can be easily killed by your opponent in combat. I'm going to go ahead and replace the Sundrop Elixir and the Light Chaser here. I have 2 3s that I'm able to play on the first turn. Well, obviously not 2 of them, but 2 3s that I have the option to play one or the other, and can follow up with another one the following turn. So this is an okay draw, not necessarily a great one. Let's see what our opponent is starting with. Healing Mystic. Alright, well, we'll go ahead and replace our Solarius for now, I think. Actually, it's not necessarily clear. Solarius, if my opponent is playing sort of more controlling version of Vetruvian, can be quite powerful, but I think it's correct for me to replace it here. Is a Blistering Scorn. I'm just going to go ahead and play a Silver Guard Knight. And just pass the turn to my opponent. I want to play this here to give me access to these 2 springs. My opponent is very likely to be able to take one or both of these, but I want to have access to at least one. And we don't have access to our Bloodborne spell just yet, so we're likely to just go ahead and replace the Blistering Scorn next turn. Probably play an Ironcliff Guardian, if we are able to walk onto anything. Ooh, he's got a Tiger. So he is able to remove our knight quite easily. Ooh, and our opponent is just going to be putting this here. Interesting. So I can actually clear this if I like with my Blistering Scorn, which I think might be correct. It does prevent my opponent from getting access to the Mana Spring tiles. I'm going to go ahead and replace one of the Guardians right now, I think. It's a decent draw. Yeah, I'm going to move here. Attack this. And play a Blistering Scorn. So it does remove my opponent's minion, gives me potential access to the tile next turn. I'm going to say go. We also have a damaged minion, so we can potentially power up with our Lancer if we so choose, or enable our Lucent Beam. Ooh, it's a mech. Alright. Not necessarily what I had in mind. Falcius. It's quite powerful. Alright, well, this becomes a little bit more challenging. I think we're going to go ahead and play our Lancer into a Healing Mystic to kill the Falcius. We are under a little bit more pressure than we normally would be because our opponent is clearly playing mech. So we'll move here. Next turn we'll have 6. Do I care about Lucent Beam? I think I just want to ensure that I'm able to get these in right here. So we'll play the Lancer. I will Healing Mystic myself, kill the Falcius, and we'll say go. There's a Sunriser. It could be powerful against the appropriate situation. Silence First Wish, alright. And given that our opponent is playing Vetruvian, very likely our opponent's Dispel is Siphon Energy, so our Sunforged trigger on our General is very unlikely to be removed, so we can kind of rely on that. Helm of Mechazor, okay. So he has 2 mechs built so far. And Sword of Mechazor. Alright, well, we can Sunriser. If I attack here, I can play Sunriser and heal this guy. Or attack. There's not any great way to deal with the sword here. We'll replace the Primus Fist, I believe. Maybe actually just replace the Guardian. I actually think that the Ironcliff Guardian may... if our opponent does play Mechazor, could end up being powerful. We'll replace the Primus Fist. There's another Guardian. Alright, well... I'm just going to attack here. Play the Sunriser. Heal this. And attack his face. So this, my goal here is continuing the pressure here. I put my General in a situation where it is unattackable without his minions dying. Lightbender. He does have a Lightbender. Okay. Well, I was thinking that it was quite likely that my opponent would simply have Siphon Energy, but Lightbender gets me pretty good there. Well, I have the ability to... Let's go ahead and replace one of the Iron Cliffs. Another Sunriser, that could be valuable again. I don't have the ability to trigger multiple times here. Or really a great opportunity to place it anywhere. Place it here and trigger it once, it's not really all that valuable. I think we're probably just going to play the Ironcliff Guardian. This will just go ahead and attack the opponent. No great way to use the Lucent Beam here without the heal. And we're just going to pile in. I don't really want to play the Lucent Beam or use my Bloodborne spell because I want to have the triggers available. Oh, there's a Sky Phalanx. still very, very high in life. My opponent's relatively low in resources here. Inquisitor Kron, alright. And Helm Mechazor. I feel like this should be something that we can, a game that we can close out here. He has the Inquisitor. I can potentially Sunriser plus Lucent Beam it. I don't need the Sky Phalanx, I feel like. The Silver Guard Knight's also kind of necessary. If we draw a Immolation or another Lucent Beam, I think we can definitely just end the game here. Can we actually kill it right away? If this attacks here, I play Sunriser. I heal this. Does 2 to this, 2 to this. Lucent Beam this. And I'm not quite able to kill him, right? I have 5, 6, 7 now. So we'll replace the Sky Phalanx. Actually, Sky Phalanx I might actually want. Oh no. Martyrdom. Okay, I believe that should do it. Well, maybe not quite. If I Martyrdom, I have to kill this, play this guy here, Martyrdom this. We are getting a bunch of triggers, but we're not quite getting the damage to kill him. Next turn we have access to both Sundrop and Lucent Beam. And our Bloodborne spell. So we have lots of abilities to trigger our Sunriser. Oh, our opponent might actually go and kill our Sunriser. Getting our Sunriser and... ooh, he's going to kill... Okay. Yeah, I imagine the Sunriser's going to die here. Killing all my stuff. Uh-oh. There's the mech. Oh dear. Well, we can Sunbloom it. That does something, but I'm actually pretty far from being able to easily actually kill my opponent. I can heal this guy so I can Lucent Beam this. Now I really need that Solarius. Oh, there's an Immolation. This is what I needed for a bunch of turns. Still the most powerful card available in the Lyonar deck. Alright, well, we are surrounded by mechs. But unfortunately for our opponent, that is not enough, as Immolation will finish him off. So definitely a very grindy game there, and thought I would have had the tools to close things out a little bit earlier, but ended up giving my opponent a little bit extra time. But thankfully, Immolation was there to save us, as it often is. Alright, here we are against Songhai. And this is a matchup where the Lyonar heal deck can have a lot of powerful tools, because often the Songhai deck is looking to burst you down, and we have a lot of healing for that. So I'll go ahead and replace these more expensive spells and hold on to our early game. This is actually a pretty decent spot. I'm going to go ahead and replace... We'd love to have a Light Chaser early on. We want to kill this. We don't want the Avatar get out of hand. I think actually not going to replace anything. I'm just going to move up and Lucent Beam this because we want to have access to all three of these. Maybe I can replace a Martyrdom, but if he is playing a more minion heavy deck with buffs and such, which Chakra Avatar can often indicate, we want to have access to our Martyrdom. I could play a Light Chaser here and Lucent Beam this guy as well. The problem with that being that, of course, my opponent can just walk up and kill Light Chaser. So I'm just going to walk up, Lucent Beam this, and I'm going to say go. We end up wasting a mana here. We have a second Martyrdom, so we probably don't need access to both. Lantern Fox. Now we have a Martyrdom to deal with that, so I can actually move up here. I will play a Light Chaser on here, then I will attack my opponent and Martyrdom. This obviously a little bit weird that I'm doing it in this order, but I want to get the trigger on the Light Chaser to heal it. Also, by Martyrdom his minion, my opponent does not get a Phoenix Fire from the Fox at all. So I'm just going to go ahead and pass. This puts our opponent in a situation where he's kind of committed to kill Light Chaser this turn for fear of it getting out of control. So it does contain my opponent's options somewhat significantly. Probably gets Phoenix Fire if he just has a Phoenix Fire naturally in his hand, but Mana Vortex, alright. Yeah, there's the Phoenix Fire. So it does die. Ooh, oh my, look at this burst. I'm just going ahead and try to get as many triggers off of this as possible, it seems. Right, but thankfully for us, I have access to the... I can play Lancer and Silverguard if I want this turn. I'm actually just going to save my entire hand here. I'm going to move down here. I will play Lancer here and Silverguard here. And I will also attack my opponent to break his mask. I'm going to hold on to the Martyrdom simply as a tool to potentially remove a big minion if my opponent has buffs for something. And I definitely want to keep the Sun Drop because my opponent is clearly trying to burst me down. It's very powerful in those instances. Another Lantern Fox, alright. And, it's kind of interesting. I feel like I actually probably just want to Martyrdom the Lantern Fox. That will heal my opponent and buff me. We're just going to replace the Scorn, maybe? We Martyrdom, and then we can Sundrop and heal, attack with one of our units and heal it. I don't think we need the Blistering Scorn necessarily, and we can try and find something better. Windblade, alright, well we can actually cast all of these if we want. So I'm going to go ahead and Martyrdom this, which will buff me and prevent my opponent from getting any Phoenix Fires. And then I think I'm going to attack here, so this guy still has 4 health. Actually, Sundrop myself, so I attack for 4 here. And now I'm... Oh, and somehow this attack didn't get in. Well, there's a third Martyrdom. It's actually not necessarily 100% clear that I want to attack with the Lancer, but that was weird that the rope ticked down there. So I have my third martyrdom. Ooh, a Tuskboar. Okay. He's going to get me with his Tuskboar. Blood Rage. Alright. Ooh, another Tuskboar. So these Tuskboars gonna get me for quite a bit of damage, but thanks to the buffs from my Sunforged Lancer, these Tuskboars are actually also immediately dying here when they attack me. How much damage can I actually do here? I have 4, 7, 8, 9, and then I can actually martyrdom one of my own guys if I want, which will give me another trigger, and I can heal it, it or me, to gain more life. So 7, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 damage I can deal. Not quite enough. Let's go ahead and replace this martyrdom. Healing Mystic is great. We're just going to pile damage on, I think. I do kind of want to kill the Heartseeker. So let's do that. I don't want my opponent to have anything in play to potentially buff and damage me. We're going to heal this up as it is our provoke minion. And this will heal me, so I gain even more attack. So I have 6 attack here, 9 life. My opponent can't even kill me if he has, well, doesn't actually even the mana for Battle Technique. So only a single card in hand for my opponent. You know, those Tuskboars dying against the Sunforged Lancer buff was pretty huge in terms of impacting my opponent's potential damage ability. Oh, alright. We have a Florence Magi and a concession. So I think that game definitely helped highlight the power of Sunforged Lancer in terms of its ability to generate a lot of power for your general, as well as just the value of the healing against aggressive decks in terms of keeping you out of range your opponent killing you. You know, my opponent had a lot of burn available to him. You know, playing Songhai, that's kind of the thing, but we were able to stay afloat regardless and power our opponent down with our buffed general attack. So that is going to be it for my video for this week. Hope you enjoyed this version of Lyonar Heal. Definitely a lot of options that are available for this deck, and I'm still trying to sort out exactly what the right ones are, but it's very clear that there are some powerful tools from Denizens of Shim'zar that the deck can take advantage of, and I want to try and find the right ones. So if you have any ideas what this deck should look like, let me know in the comments. Other than that, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.